while President Jimmy Carter only served one term, as Chris pointed out, he did face so much. He accomplished so much in those 4 short years. And just before Jimmy Carter's passing, our Elizabeth Prann, she sat down with his grandson to talk about President Carter's accomplishments.
So let's talk about the presidency, because they've been interviewed I don't know how many times, and they'll say they left involuntarily, but he's still proud of what he did and acknowledges the shortcomings of those 4. There was a lot done in those 4 years.
Sure. I mean, I think it's an interesting presidency historically because of how much was accomplished in that time, and certainly the politics of the moment really defined presidencies at the time of the presidency. And in that way, he ran and lost at the end of his presidency, and in that way, it was a political failure. But when you look at the actual content of that presidency, certainly with the benefit of hindsight and some real historical perspective, it was incredibly successful and it was incredibly ahead of its time. And so he was always been proud of those accomplishments and felt good in them. And of course, the judgment of politics or the judgment of the media for him was never the most important judgment.
Well, and you have the highs with the lows. So did he take both of those sort of with a grain of salt? Because it's almost like he would acknowledge something like the Iran hostage conflict, but then, the Camp David Accords, that was just a notch in his belt. But those are 2 significantly big markers in history.
Sure. I think that he would say that his greatest accomplishment during the presidency was the Camp David Accords. That peace in the Middle East was such a fundamental part of his life's journey, that he believed in it. He fought for it for his whole life. And was able to achieve and participate at that historic moment at Camp David, in part because of just grit and will and the ability to bring people together and communicate about humanity in a fundamental way. I think he would say that was his greatest accomplishment. And then the rest of his life was spent trying to expand on that and to bring true peace to the Middle East. And in that way, I think that's one of his biggest regrets.
It's great that we have the opportunity to speak to so many members of President Carter's family. You're looking live at Washington, D.C., the White House, the flag flying there at half-staff.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.